Bicycle, bicycle. I want to ride my bicycle. I need to speak a bit softer. I'm not in a very safe place. So today I want to talk about what is a bicycle and basically why you should ride one, how it can actually change your life. So firstly, let's look at the anatomy of a bicycle. If we take a look at it, this very one behind me has two wheels, it has some sort of chain mechanism, and it has handlebars. That's basically the frame of the bike, and we also have our brake calipers. Now, depends which kind of brakes you have. Some people have got something called disc brakes. So when you press the brake caliper, it pulls a wire taut, which then puts the brake calipers onto the wheels, and usually brakes on the wheel. If it's disc brake, it will be that, but then those brake calipers will clamp down on the disc. What this one is a fancy one because it has hydraulic brake fluid. So when I pull it, it's basically putting more pressure, which then causes those calipers to close down on the disc. So that's the first thing. You also need to look at the drivetrain over here. I'm driving a 1x12. Most cheaper bikes would be 1x8, which means 8 gears all the way from low to high. But I have 8 gears all the way from low to high. Sorry, 12 gears from all the way from low to high. Now, if you're thinking of going by 1x8 or 1x12 on your bike, I recommend getting 1x12 because you have more gear range, which would allow you to actually cycle up higher inclines, declines. And today I was riding the bike on the road, and there was such a steep decline, but because I was able to put the gears so low, I was still able to pedal at a normal rate. I was watching this documentary, or the documentary style video, and the guy was explaining why it doesn't matter how, he basically, okay, before we get into that, I want to ask you a question. Do you think that going up a hill is very hard? Most people would say yes, and I think you also agree with that. But this documentary style video was explaining that it's not a case of that it is hard to go uphill and easier to go downhill. That's not true. It's a case of how much power you're putting in. And each pedal stroke you can put in power. So people have these little machines that they put on a small little GPS kind of system, and it tells them how many watts they're putting into the bike. 500, 600, 800 watts. So if you keep on putting 500 watts into your bike, it doesn't matter whether you're on incline, doesn't matter whether you're on decline, putting in those 500 watts is going to get you to a certain speed. On the incline, yes, you're maybe going to go 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 kilometers an hour. On the decline, maybe you're going to go 50. But on a flat, you will go maybe 20. But it doesn't matter. It's not that uphills are hard. It's just that people try to maintain the same speed when they go uphill, so they're forced to put in more power. So that's an interesting little fact on a bike. Now, forget about the bike anatomy for a second, and think of what a bike could do for you. Do you walk anywhere for work, or are you a young teenager that wants to do business and buy and sell and stuff like that? Well, I do, and I use my bike to get to shops, to go buy groceries, to go get meat if I want to get bulk, if I want to bulk up. I go and buy secondhand stuff. I love my bike, and it helps me so much to save so much time. Because when I wanted to walk from, let's say, my home to a place where I could go play snooker, then it would take me 40 minutes, but on my bike it takes me 10. So a bike is a crucial enabler. And if you think about it, it's a mode of transport. And for a while I was actually riding I had a 250cc motorbike, young, and yeah, I was riding it a bit. So what I would do with that is I had an extra 250, like sometimes I get an extra 150, 200 rand. So what happened was with the bike, it was midnight, and I was bored. I was busy on my computer. Back then I wasn't doing anything productive or filming anything, but I was bored and I had 250 with I had my money and I had my motorbike, and I thought, well, let me go out for an adventure. And I went out for an adventure. I drove across a dangerous road in the middle of the night with my head on a swivel like this, and I ended up at a pizza place. They call it Indicios within South Africa. And I sat there, I got my pizza, I got my butternut soup, and it was nice, like really nice. And the point is that sometimes just having any mode of transport beside your feet, besides walking, because walking takes long and it's tough and it's very hard, is just such a pleasure. And if I had 250 rand that night, which I did, and I decided to walk, I would have said no, dangerous, I don't want to walk, it's too far, but because I had a motorbike, I could go. So maybe you can't afford a motorbike, I fully understand it, but if you can get a bike, you can find a cheap one for 800, 1,000 bucks. Just check your local cash crusaders, check your local pawn shops, your local second-hand shops, because a bike is a serious enabler. And there's some other thing that I'm just noticing now, and that's my forearm over here. If you're interested in any way in getting bigger and getting stronger, then something that you should really take a look at is biking, mountain biking in particular, because always being on the bike, looking with your forearms like this and holding those handlebars to remain stable is a brilliant way to grow the forearms. I mean, check at that. Now in real life I might look a bit smaller and skinny. I only weigh 69 69 and a half, 68, between 68 and 69 and a half kilos. But actually, I'm saying the way that my body has developed is immense. The best thing about it is it's also a calorie burn. So if you have extra fat that you aren't happy with, well, instead of taking your bus to school, or taking your maybe the taxi or your whatever bus to work, you might be able to ride your if you're worried about your weight, you might be able to ride a bike instead. There's another thing. Just by simply having the bike. My dad has a good friend, and I'm gonna call him Doe, because so like Joe but Doe. So Doe loves riding bikes, and he goes with his best friend to the mountain trails, and he loves to ride his mountain bike as well. But one time Doe was saying, I was talking to Doe about his mountain bike. He was showing me it and how it's a 1x12, blah blah blah, and he said that he and his friend love to go and ride in the mountain trails. And because I showed an interest in his bike, and because I am an avid mountain cyclist, he said that I should come and join them. So not only are you getting a mode of transport that's going to enable you, not only are you going to get big, strong forearms like this, and even stronger, but you can also make friends. It's social, and it's a beautiful thing to do. So riding a mountain bike is absolutely crucial. This is what is a mountain bike, or what is mountain biking. Because in this day and age, with people on their social medias, people on their laptops and their phones, the other day I was walking into a coffee shop. It's like imagine a Starbucks. You walk in, all these little tables, and you would think that you'd see families or mum and son having a chat or enjoying. But you know what was so interesting? The majority of the people in that Starbucks all had their headphones on with their laptops, especially the guys at the back, and most people were busy on their phones. Busy. Now imagine if you could take that money that you would spend at a coffee. Let's say it's going to be $1, and people probably have maybe a coffee a day. It's like $300 in a year. Now, if we take that into rands, it's like 4,500, a little bit more because of the exchange rate. We're talking $300, 4,500 rand by the end of the year. Just what you would spend on coffee, and you've spent all that time on your phone, not being social, and with your headphones on, in a bubble. So what if you could take that money at the end of the year and say, look, I'm going to spend $300 on coffee. Forget about it. It's just caffeine and cheap milk that they're using, putting milk in a cup, and they're just going to degrade my health. Why don't I just take the money, get a mountain bike, and I get out more, I see the sun. You know what's so interesting? This whole idea about a protein shake. Last night I had my very first protein shake, and I was looking at the bottle, and outside it was saying all the amino acids and all the proteins and all the fats and the sugars and what. And I thought, is this where we've come as humanity, that we have to take a protein shake to supplement our diets because we aren't eating enough food, or we aren't eating the right food? To me, that's absolutely disgusting. So we need to start bringing elements back into our lives, just like mountain biking, that gets us out more, that gets us more social, that gets us more sun, that builds our muscles, because that's the only way that we can kind of combat this attack from all these corporate companies trying to degrade our health, but for the purpose of just taking as much money as possible while making the food as palatable as possible. So that's what is a mountain bike, and why you should ride mountain bikes. What you should do is probably save up, and then you can get all the benefits I've already listed. Forget about the benefits. I want you to be healthy, and this is the best thing for you. Thank you.